It's my favorite time of the year. Pitchers and catchers have reported March Madness is around the corner. The NBA playoffs will feature actual basketball instead of that 82-game bullshit they call the regular season. And Lord Stanley is up for grabs, ready for anyone who has the grit and pure will to lift it in June. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the NHL Eastern Conference Edition. Atlantic Division, Tampa Bay Lightning. Alright, this is just not fair. How the hell can a team already have 102 points in February? Regardless, the Lightning's trade deadline was pretty quiet for the obvious reason that this team is already as ready as they'll ever be for a cup run. So, anything short of Steven Stamkos drinking champagne out of the Lord Stanley will be considered an epic failure. Get it done. Boston Bruins. Can you do the Zombie Nation a solid and get healthy come April? Please? I mean, regardless, your deadline was kind of quiet as well, only bolstering the bottom six by acquiring Johansson and Coyle. But the Bruins need their seventh Stanley Cup in franchise history sometime, and Zdeno Chara may not have another year left in him. Now's your chance to get the greatest defenseman in the 21st century some extra hardware before he hangs up the skates. And as a proud owner of a Chara jersey, beat the shit out of the Maple Leafs like Chara beat the shit out of Evander Kane. Toronto. Well, speak of the devil, here are the Maple Leafs. My main complaint with this team was that their defense wasn't that good, but now with Jake Muzzin on the team, they're a legitimate threat on any given day. Not like any of us that will matter, since they'll force themselves into cap hell while still failing to get past Boston in the first round, regardless whether they get home ice or not. But, yeah. Prove me wrong, Leafs Nation. Lest I go even harder on you sacks of shit for proving me right for a third year in a row. I've already made 2 vids centered around the Leafs, and I don't get tired of making them if you catch my drift. Montreal Canadiens. Wait, so you guys aren't terrible? What the fuck? I could have sworn you guys would have been terrible after having Mark Bergevin at the helm for so many years. Carey Price doesn't look what they're used to. What the fuck? You know what? Fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, since Montreal was surprisingly quiet at the deadline, which just shows they're content with being wild cards. Enjoy your absolute ass-kicking at the hands of Long Island, I guess. My opinion of Mark Bergevin has not changed either. He's a malcontent that only has a job because he can speak French. Nothing more, nothing less. Buffalo. Holy shit, we finally found the pieces. We're on a torrid hot streak. We're catching up in the division. We may make the playoffs. We're gonna get wrecked! How does it feel going through years of tanking only to end up where you started in the first place? Mediocre and inoffensively passable. Apart from Brandon Montour packing his bags on a first-flight class to Buffalo, the Sabres have been dead selling at the offseason, indicating that this team is fine as is and just needs time to develop. You better pray to God that's the case stateside New York. Otherwise there will be plenty of tables that need to be smashed. Florida Panthers. Technically, you guys are still in the wild card race, but at 65 points and the goaltending acting their age and the team facing more attendance problems, I predict another April spent at the golf course. To make matters worse, the Panthers guessed the problems were at the center position, trading away Derek Brassard while acquiring Jean-Sebastien Dia and Cliff Pu. The madness doesn't stop there, as Bogdan Kiselvich, Vincent Proplon, and Riley Shahan were all traded in exchange for Jared McCann and Nick Bjugstad going to the Pens. On a side note, congratulations on Roberto Rolongo getting his third most winningest goaltender of all time. Even if he may never win the Stanley Cup, he's still one of the greatest goaltenders to ever play the game. The fact that he won't get his name chipped onto Lord Stanley is a fucking disgrace. I tip my hat to you, and Godspeed, sir. Detroit Red Wings. You have to be the saddest city in America. Not only has this team faded into absolute irrelevance, not only has the vast majority of the former Empire retired or fucked off, not only has Ken Holland done nothing to inspire hope for the Red Wings, but if not for another team that is even worse at team management in your fellow division, this team would be last in the NHL in just about every aspect. Nothing has worked for this team. Hell, they even fuck up the trade deadline by trading away Gustav Nyquist to San Jose for a second and a future third. It's like they just stopped giving a fuck and just went headfirst into the tank. Just like their city, if you know what I mean. Enjoy Little Caesars Arena, Red Wings Nation. That's just about the only thing Detroit can enjoy at this point. Ottawa. I'm going to preserve most of my anger and rage I have towards this team for an upcoming lolcow vid because this is just getting ridiculous at this point. Knowing their management team, they'll likely fuck up their own tank by drafting busts. But hey, at least you got the first round pick this year. Too bad your pick will likely be the first overall pick, which belongs to the Avalanche. 1 year of Matt Duchene was totally worth not getting Jack Hughes, am I right? God, this team is such a joke. Metro Division. New York Islanders. Okay, Islanders fans, you have a reason to be pissed at John Tavares. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, especially Maple Leafs fans. Excuse me, I need a drink. In my culture, if someone tells you one thing and then goes behind on their word and does the exact opposite of what they said that you would do, that's called lying. Then again, I was raised by a father who was a drunken malcontent and had no idea how to raise a son and put his kids through utter hell of divorce because he broke his marital vow, gave his wife an STD, lied about it, and then tried to blame my mother for him cheating. So maybe I don't know what lying actually is, and maybe I'm just drawing a blank here. You tell me. The fact that John Tavares lied about wanting to stay in Long Island for his entire career and build a winning culture with the Isles is definitely grounds for grievance, and makes the Isles faithful feel like they aren't worthy of being told the truth. For disclosure, I don't blame John Tavares for leaving New York for Toronto. I just wish he was more upfront about it with the people who fell in love with him for 9 years before they realized he actually didn't mean a word he said and stabbed him in the back. Washington Capitals. The defending Stanley Cup champions are playing to their namesake. Another wonderful year for Alex Ovechkin as they're tied for first in the Metro with New York. Hopefully they shed every label that they had when they won the Cup, including their inability to beat New York. Out of 7 meetings, the Islanders have beaten the Capitals in the playoffs 6 times. This also extends to the Rangers, by the way. It's time to find out if they really did break the curse or merely caught it with its pants down. Your move, Washington. Carolina. You know what? I'm actually fine with the Hurricanes finally being good for once. As Pittsburgh can attest, memes just get old after a while, you know. Congrats on your newfound success, Raleigh. I can't wait to see you get absolutely destroyed by the Capitals. In a clean sweep, too, just because. Even better, how Raleigh will respond when their chant gets mocked by Ovechkin or Kuznetsov. With how they reacted when Elias Lindholm mocked that chant, the trauma will be par for the course. If you catch my drift. Pittsburgh. You seriously traded for Eric Goodbranson? Oh, Jesus Christ! What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. Give me a second. If there was ever a team that took themselves out of competition by forgetting what made them great in the first place, it would be the Pens. What the fuck are you doing? It was bad enough that having Jack Johnson on the team, but now Goodbranson too, and they're likely going to be on the same line? This is why I support a free market. This way idiots get to properly pay for their mistakes. Urinating Tree was right about this team. When you prove with that guy of all people right, something's seriously wrong with you. Columbus. Well, shit, it was made painfully clear that the Blue Jackets want to go all in this tiny window they've got. Instead of trading away Sergei Bobrovsky and Artemi Panarin, they instead traded for Matt Duchene and Ryan Dzingel. All 4 of these players are free agents in the end of the season. Keep that in mind. Columbus has never won a playoff series in their franchise's existence. If there's ever been a year to do it, it's now. Strike while the iron is hot, lest you be called chokers. God, I still can't get over the fact that they had the Capitals by the throat and then lost 4 straight. God, what choking fucks. Anyways, Philadelphia. Gritty. Enough said. But in all seriousness, good work on finally finding a goaltender after about 20 tries. Corey Hart looks to be the consistent starter that Philly's been needing for over a decade. It's too late to make any inspirational changes this year, but I await to see how cleaning management and coaching, as well as striking gold on a goalie, will impact the Flyers in the future. Nowhere to go but up now, guys. Just please don't throw beads out on the ice again. New York Rangers. This team is the epitome of agony. In their lengthy championship window, the closest they've ever gotten was getting shit on by the Kings in the Stanley Cup Finals in 5 games in 2014 due to collapsing in overtime 3 out of 3 times. Now the Rangers have officially decided to blow it up and start tanking. Poor Henrik Lundqvist. He deserves better than this shit. Trading away Kevin Hayes, Adam McQuaid, and Matt Zuccarello to officially tank while keeping Zibanejad and Lundqvist is just depressing anymore. If there's one player that deserves his name on Lord Stanley's Cup more than Roberto Luongo, it'd be King Henrik. Too bad that likely won't happen. New Jersey. Unlike the coaching staff in New Jersey, I actually have the common sense to know that the only reason the Devils even sniffed the playoffs last year was because Madison Kincaid started playing like he was Martin Brodeur, and Taylor Hall had an MVP season. Anyone that watches hockey knows that you can't maintain relevance with those 2 aspects alone. Now, the Devils realize that they still suck and are left with no choice but to tank. They also traded away Madison Kincaid. Again, for the 3rd time in 15 years, you are tanking. Well, at least Howl by the Gaslight Anthem is finally starting to make a mark with the Devils Nation as the goal song. Take that to the bank. Anyways, that's all 16 Eastern Conference teams. So my Eastern Conference predictions will be: in the Atlantic, Tampa Bay will clinch the conference and win the President's Trophy, followed by Boston, Toronto, and Montreal, in that order, making clinching a playoff spot. In the Metropolitan Divisions, I have the Capitals winning the division, followed by the Islanders, Blue Jackets, and Hurricanes in that order, clinching a playoff spot, with Carolina and Montreal in that order, clinching the wild card spots. I hope you agree. If you don't agree or just have something else to say, feel free to leave a comment. I'll always read them. This is Trey McGaffin, and I'll be seeing you soon.